What's going on YouTube? It's Ben, and in this video, we're going to talk about equal opportunity laws. Hey YouTube, it is Ben, and thank you so much again for checking out another one of my videos. Truly appreciate it. If you're brand new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way in. On this channel, I talk about entrepreneurship, business, investing, staffing, pretty much everything under the sun as it pertains to business. So I'd love for you to become a subscriber, and let's get right into the video. So today I decided to make a video on something I have not talked about before on this channel, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, which is a law that was created by the United States government to essentially protect individuals from discrimination of all sorts and all kinds. This law is otherwise known by its short acronym EEOA. And of course, since we're discussing a legal matter, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, I must inform you that I am not an attorney and I am in no way in a place to give legal advice or anything of the sort, and so this is for informational or entertainment purposes only. Okay, I think we're safe. So we've got a lot of jobs in America, and we've got a lot of employees that work those jobs, and that creates a lot of room for error. Oh, you know, things like wrongful termination, discrimination of race, discrimination of religion, discrimination of age or gender, discrimination of people with disabilities. All right, I think I got my point across, but there is just a lot of discrimination going on of all sorts and kinds, not to mention harassment of all sorts and kinds as well going on in the workplace. And that's why the EEOA exists, to protect against a lot of these things. And I'm going to explain exactly how it works and how it helps and how it's getting better and better as time goes by. Now, to be perfectly clear, it mostly falls on the shoulder of a corporation's human resources department to be keenly aware of the EEOA and all of its different provisions, because as the employer on record, they are ultimately the people that are responsible for discriminating against a hiring or a firing or in any scenario of that nature. However, as a recruiter or a recruiting agency that you start, you are also bound under the EEOA, and recruiting agencies and recruiters must be aware of the law as well, because they are definitely in the loop. You see, your position as a recruiter or a recruiting agency is to act as a liaison, a go-between, between candidates and companies. And by operating that way, you essentially funnel everything that they get to see. I mean, you review resumes, you conduct phone screens, you do interviews, and you basically just kind of weed out everyone that the company eventually sees, unless you pass them everything, which you probably shouldn't do as a good recruiter. But basically, you funnel what they see, bottom line. It is for that exact reason that recruiters and recruiting agencies, if you're just starting one up, you should be extremely aware of all the provisions of the EEOA and all of the discriminatory practices that are bound against it. So you must be aware of this stuff. It's really, really important, because there have definitely been lawsuits against not only corporations, but recruiting agencies as well. Even the middleman, even the go-between, they can get sued too. Now, just to be 100% clear, to actually get sued by the EEOA, or more specifically, the EEOA Commission itself, which actually partners with the plaintiff in a lawsuit and sues either a corporation or an agency, you need to do something blatantly discriminatory. So either tell someone flat out that they cannot be hired because of XYZ reason that is listed under the act as something you cannot discriminate against. For example, just last year in 2018, there was a staffing company, I will not name the name, however, one of their recruiters literally told a deaf person through a deaf interpreter that that agency does not hire deaf people, verbatim, directly to that person. Clearly a vile discriminatory practice and definitely a violation of the EEOA. course, this candidate sued that staffing agency with the EEOA commission behind it because it obviously was discriminating against someone with a disability, which is a clear violation of the EEOA Act. And obviously that plaintiff won that lawsuit free and clear because it was so blatantly stupid on the part of the recruiting agency to tell someone that and violate the law in that manner. Not only was it illegal, but immoral to begin with. And of course, they definitely lost that lawsuit. Things like the EEOA just exist in our society so that people aren't just randomly excluded from having a job, oh, I don't know, just for being a woman. Now, clearly, there's definitely a fine line with this. Of course, you cannot just go and sue an employer just because they fired you because they were downsizing or you weren't performing well or things like that. Just because maybe you're African American, just because maybe you're Latino, and you want to claim that because it was racism, that does not necessarily apply unless there was some blatant version of them telling you this is why we are firing you, or you have some evidence otherwise. It is quite unfortunate that many violations of the EEOA still exist as far as things like the gender pay gap or other discriminatory practices around race, religion, and gender, and all of that sort of thing. But it is slowly but surely getting better, but however, it still does exist, and that is a problem. Some really good news is that various movements that have happened around the country, in the United States at least, have opened the door to begin change on a lot of these things. For instance, one would be the Me Too movement, where women have opened the doors wide open to discuss harassment and how that's happening rampantly at the workplace to them or others. And when more people discuss these things, that conversation becomes wider and it just becomes easier for people to talk about things that are not right and things that need to change. Another really cool thing is that inclusive hiring is now becoming a real thing. What I mean exactly by inclusive hiring is the hiring of people with disabilities, such as autism or any other type of intellectual disability, where people just thought it was a bad idea or that someone with autism or an intellectual disability couldn't do the job or wasn't up to it or anything of the sort. And that couldn't be further from the truth, quite frankly. I mean, newsflash, people with intellectual disabilities of all sorts of kinds on the spectrum all over live normal lives. They drive, they have relationships, they have jobs, they do everything that you and I do. I personally am aware of this because I actually mentor and work with Special Olympics athletes in my area and actually help them get jobs through various partner companies. That's not part of my business, but that's part of my passion. It's near and dear to my heart. And so I connect various people with jobs that they qualify for, and it's really awesome to watch happen because people who thought that they were just being discriminated against forever at the age of 23 finally get their first job and start making a real paycheck, get their own apartment, get a car, and all sorts of things that everyone else does because they are normal. I can also say that in my business, I have totally seen and experienced direct discrimination where clients have asked me to actually discriminate against a certain sect of people, whether it be color, age, gender, what have you, things like that. I simply do not do business with those people. I definitely would advise you not to do business with those people as recruiters because one, it's illegal, and two, it's just immoral and wrong. So essentially, if you're a recruiter or if you're starting a recruiting agency or if you're already working in corporate America, just do your part, play your part and basically understand what the EEOA actually means. It really is a mission to basically just give everyone a level playing field and allow everyone to be safe and happy in their workplace, on whatever level, whether it's anti-harassment, anti-bullying, or, anti-discrimination of any kind that I've mentioned previously. The EEOA law is really something that was codified and put into law because we had to have it because people are just people and sometimes they run rampant and really just do whatever they want, and that's just not right. So I really hope this video added some value to you, and I hope you learned a thing or two about equal employment opportunity laws and how they work in this country, and I hope that it actually helps you maybe make some change in whatever capacity you are. Maybe you're a recruiter, maybe you're a soon-to-be recruiter, and maybe this video will now influence you to help enact further action on EEOA practices like hiring people and not discriminating against them. That'd be great. So if you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button down below. Just destroy that thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the alert button so you know every time I come out with a new video, which is pretty much daily. So I plan on catching you tomorrow. Until then.